And when it went off, it was just like, it took up both lanes of this road. And I mean, it came just right in the front of the vehicle. And had they been there maybe 25 meters, I got near misses, man. I got really lucky.
I mean, that was in Iraq.
Yeah. So when I transitioned out, I never had any issues with IEDs when I was in the military. It was few and far between where there was any, the op tempo was not what it became post 9/11. So this was in the late 90s.
Right. So this is when you're now CIA GRS.
Yeah. So when I went over there post 9/11 with them, it was a war situation.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and, you know, I had two really close near misses. Like the first one was in like South, Baghdad, where the IED, we had 4 vehicles, a lead, follow. So we had like Suburban, then a CAT team, basically people that respond with heavy weapons. And they're all armored vehicles, but not against an IED. It's not like driving an MRAP that has... The problem with MRAPs is they stick out like a turd in a punch bowl. You're like, so they just make the bombs bigger and bigger, but you couldn't, in an urban setting, an MRAP, there's limitations on where you can go down the road. The vehicles we had were smaller, like Suburbans and, other armored vehicles, but they attracted a ton of attention because there was no, one time I was in a G5 wagon, a Mercedes, like obviously there's somebody important in that vehicle, There's not a lot of those running around the roads. And that was because everyone was scrambling to get armor. But in that one in South, Baghdad was like, it just missed the lead vehicle. It was the biggest IED I've ever seen personally. I've seen ones online, but it was like 2 lanes of the highway. They buried it underneath the asphalt. And when it went off, it was just like, it took up both lanes of this road. And I mean, it came just right in the front of the vehicle. And had they been there maybe 25 meters further, they would have all died, 100%. And we couldn't see anything after there was this smoke, and we were spaced out. So it's like either drive through the ambush. You can never stop on the X, man. It's kind of like everybody knows, like you gotta get off the X because that's the kill zone. So it's either drive through or turn around. And driving through, turning around takes time. So we ended up pushing through it.
Gassing it.
Yeah, there was a little, ambush after that there was about 12 dudes opening up with, we got lucky, the RPGs missed the vehicle, and it was a small arm stuff, but we didn't take any casualties, no injuries. But it was kind of like a wake up call of like, holy shit, dude, we're in a protective posture. We're not there to fight. We're there to protect individuals. So that kind of was a wake-up call. That was like, pretty much a close call. War is chaos because if it hits the lead vehicle, then you got to cross-load people. You got to get into a gunfight you don't want to be in because we're not equipped like the military with our weapon systems. We had some belt feds that we weren't probably supposed to have because we knew, an AR against, PKMs and other kind of belt fed, you're outgunned. So anyway, like long story short, then I had 2 back-to-back on Khadijah. One hit me pretty good broadside. We were going about 70 and got in a little skirmish after that. And then,
well, what happened there? So it hit you, but it didn't.
Yeah, I didn't
injure you.
I had a good armor, thankfully. But it disabled our vehicle. I mean, instantaneously. We're driving about 70 and it hit
How
us.
many are you in the vehicle?
Just 2, driver and myself. And my buddy was a former force recon guy. And it was right before you go into the CPA. There was this overpass, and there was another American vehicle. I think it was a Suburban that was hit in the morning of. And I saw these potholes, and I literally just said, "Man, it looks like that's fresh, dude." And this other vehicle was still burning. And because it was still in the road, we had to get over to the left, and there was a guardrail there, and they set up we're not 100% sure on what kind, because they were using EFPs at the time, which are explosively formed projectiles that, they take like a little copper disc. Iran was really good at making those. Real thin disc, kind of like a shape charge, like the tip of an RPG. It's kind of like a little bit of a cone. And when the explosives hits that, it liquefies it and turns it almost like a teardrop, and it goes through. I mean, it's moving exceptionally quick. It'll go through a lot of big armor systems. The bigger the disc, the more casualty producing it becomes. But yeah, it just hit the driver's side of the vehicle and just pushed over the axle, and we lost all our fuel and oil. So smart vehicles had just shut down, and we're sitting there in the kill zone like, oh shit.
You're on the X.
Yeah, so my buddy just got out and started just dumping rounds. And so I was trying to make comms, and we were getting jammed at the time because I think not Paul Bremer, General Abizade was in town, and they were jamming because of him. Later became a board member for the company that I went to next. And I was like, hey, sir, remember back in such and such year, like 2004 in like April, you were in yeah, you kind of fucked me up for that day, bro. Like I couldn't make comms. We had no QRF. It was just two of us. And, and I had an AR go down on me on that one. So that kind of created some nightmares for me down the road.
You had an AR go down?
Yeah, I just got off the range that morning. I shot about 200 rounds. I didn't clean my weapon. It's 200 rounds, man. It shouldn't be a big deal. That's why I hate on AR sometimes and occasionally carried an AK because it was a little bit more reliable in that dusty environment. But yeah, dude, mine was like, dump a half a mag and it was like click. And my buddy goes, bah! He starts laughing at me. I'm like, motherfucker, like this shit is funny,
we're
dude.
Under fire. He's
yeah,
laughing.
I'm down to a freaking, a freaking Glock. This is dumb. So anyway, but then the next time I went out, bro, like it got really bad. That time was right before Fallujah went down. And the next time I got in a vehicle, my buddy was putting Ear Pro in. We were in a Suburban again. I was like, God, I got to get out of these fucking vehicles. They're terrible, man. It's like a bullet magnet. I was like, why does everybody want to kill me? I'm a really nice guy. Like, these motherfuckers. And, we just got out of the base and there was an overpass.
I don't think they saw it that way, by the way.
I think they did, man. I think they didn't like me. They're like, this motherfucker, he's not we hate him.
He's not a nice guy.
Yeah,
that's right.
They called me the Golden BB, man, because every time I went
Golden
out.
BB?
I don't know. I just attracted freaking big BBs.
Did you have the beard back then?
Yeah. It wasn't as gray as it is now,
That might have been it.
I earned these
motherfuckers. That's a good beard.
I earned all these grays, son. That's why I have no hair. They always told me my hair was going to fall out. Well, yeah, the next time he was putting Ear Pro, and I'm like, hey, man, stop being a bitch, man. We're in an armored vehicle. Like, we got to communicate, whatever. My ears were bleeding the other day. So it's about a week later or something, because we weren't allowed to go out for a bit because it got that bad. And so I go out, and he's putting the Ear Pro, and we had, I don't know, 3 or 4 people in the back. That we were, there were our principals, people were protecting. And, the first overpass, we only made it like 300 meters down the road, and it just missed the vehicle, man, by like a foot. And I was like, hey, man, you got any more of that Ear Pro? I was like, you were right, I was wrong.
Happens quick.
But, I mean, yeah, the mindset is a lot of the game. And it's the same with me today, with the things that I'm going through. Is just like, it's all about resiliency, man. Like, it's just... I tell people, man, like all the time, not to focus on the things they can't do because I have all these physical limitations I never had. And part of my identity was tied to, we were talking about like what happens when Goggins can't be Goggins anymore physically. And it's a mind fuck when that happens because even at 45, I mean, I was like, dude, I'm doing jujitsu. I was 230 pounds, strong, keeping up with my skill set, rolling with 25-year-olds. Well, I'm not claiming to, I was just like... I just did it for sport. I just really enjoyed the brotherhood of it. It helped me. I have a really good gym at SPG in Georgia, and the guys were just awesome to deal with. Most of them weren't veterans. They were just, you're trying to strangle each other every fucking day. And one day, it taught me a lot of humility. I did jiu-jitsu for like 15 years on and off, and I wish I had to hang it up when I got cancer because they said if you dislocate, we might have to amputate your leg. And I was like, I don't love jiu-jitsu that much. I'm not like a black belt dude. So like, I'm just like doing it for sport. And they all came to the hospital when they took my femur out. My coaches, like my coach Sean, who's a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Wu, he was a Marine master sergeant, and I think he's a black belt now. And so these guys and strength and conditioning coach, Philippe Gentry, who runs that school, they all came and they're like, I was only 2 days after my surgery, and I should have been in the hospital for like fucking a month, dude. I mean, honestly. Because they said if you can perform these tasks, you can go out, like walk upstairs and do these things. And they were all fucking firing me up, man.
Thank you for watching the video, guys. If you haven't already subscribed, please smash that subscribe button and check out this clip's full podcast episode by clicking here or in the description below.